Okay, so I'm here to demonstrate the application that we had built last year with the BC Services card ability to self-serve with a test configuration. I'm joined with Chris Robinson from AOT, who was part of our team, and probably to really level set with everybody on the line here is we were really focused on the developer persona, which I believe this audience will appreciate, where you really want to be able to build something, demonstrate it to your product owner, to your leadership team, to be able to say, look at this way that we could do a login through OIDC and a method that government utilizes when it's providing services to citizens. So Trevor was the persona that we focused on, and we were looking at the application of being able to easily implement the BC Services card for online authentication. And so going in, I'll just start demonstrating it for everybody. And then I think it'll hopefully become a little bit easier. Just let's make login easier is what the real goal is. So we log in, and I have the option to log in with my IDR or my services card. But for this demo, because I am a government employee, I'm going to be logging in with my IDR. So I am going to quickly look at the credentials that I've got here, the benefits of two screens. And as I log in, I'm coming into this application where it's like, oh, well, you want to start a new project in a development environment. And this is something that we're hoping that developers can have the ability to self-serve themselves for the OIDC integration parameter or configuration that they need within minutes. So I go in and I say, okay, I want to create a project and I need to provide some information. So I'm doing this because I'm going to be working with Chris, who's also on the line, and I'm going to start off with the parameters that I've got for my organization name, my project name, and then the description of why I want to be able to do an integration with this. And so I'm just wanting to do words that mean something very important to the developer types, but really a JWT instance with no encryption. So I go to the next screen and it says, oh, who's on my team? This is where I want to be able to add Chris. So I'll just be adding his name. Just double check I don't mess up his spelling. And here, I'll add him as a different role and click him as that, and then I go to the next screen at which I provide the technical requirements. And this is the details that most developers are aware of. Just pretend for all intents and purposes that Chris had fed me this information, or we were working in screen sharing and he provided this information to me. So I'm able to provide the URL, a redirect value, and then I have the option of looking at what data security and format that I want to be able to pick. So for this example, we're just going to go with assigned JWT of the signature algorithm of RS-256. So I click on next, and then I need to select a package. Now, we use the concept of package to be able to group certain OIDC scopes. We'll spend a little bit of time talking about this because when you're looking at the OIDC attributes that can get shared, we wanted to kind of group it into two languages, if you will. One for a product owner or non-developer type that might say, why am I looking at OpenID and profile? What does this mean? And so we were translating that to say, well, it's best fit if you're looking for identity verification only, as an example, where you would get a unique identifier or your given name and surname. Then we have package 2, which is where maybe you want to only be able to communicate via email. And then package 3 is where you get physical address attributes. And so I'm going to pick package 3, which contains the scopes of OpenID, profile, and address. And then when I click on next, I'm then asked how many test accounts do I want to utilize. So I'm just going to go with 1 for this example. And then when I click on next, I get a summary of what I'm looking at. So I just do a quick scan. Okay, this is all the information I provided. Chris is on my team. We're good. I'm going to submit. And once I press on submit, I get what I call the golden keys, is where I get the API ID and secret, and I also get the test account. And so this is for one of the test accounts that I'm kind of going to go through. I'll do it quickly for another one, and then I'll be handing it over to Chris, who's going to show us how we actually can put this into the code. So I'll just quickly create the other project, which is for an encryption demo. And I'm just going to, sorry. And number 2 on this one. And my description here is the type of encryption algorithm that I'm utilizing just to help me look at the difference of that. I'm going to add Chris again. We had done a lot of user engagement with folks at the lab, as well as with a few of our early adopters, and we'd understood that we wanted to make it as easy as possible to be able to get to the API details when we're looking at testing or being able to experiment. So I say that just so to thank some of the members on this call who had taken the time to respond to our Rocket Chat request of giving us some feedback. And then I'm going to double check now. I'm back on the technical requirements piece, and I just wanted to show you that now we're going to go to the secure JWT, and this is where I need to provide the JSON web key set URL, which is something that Chris had given to me earlier today. I'll quickly just do that. And it's not liking that because I've got a space, so I got to fix that, and then I'll, I think, did I screw something else up? Oh, I did. Another space there. Perfect. Okay. Nope, I keep on doing that, don't I? It's a good thing I have some error messages on the fly. So now I can see the button to click next. I'm going to pick the same package, package 3, and I click on next here, and same, pick one test account, and scroll down, Chris is added, and I submit. And so I've kind of gone through this a little bit fast, but ideally it's minutes for a developer to be able to get the ID and secret for the OIDC authentication to be able to use a virtual BC services card. And so that's it on my end of the front end. I think more of this demo and the more important part of the demo is what Chris is going to be able to show you. And we also have that in our help material here. For developers, where if you wanted to learn more, you could go and get a quick overview of OIDC. You know, we provided some help instructions as to what you need to set up. And then we also have our sample access repo, which Chris is going to be walking us through.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen. Hi, everyone. So I'm Chris Robinson from AOT. We worked, as Zoran said, we worked on this project. It was a 6-month sprint with us last year. I think we did a great job. I think that everything ended up in a really good place. What Zoran's just done is she's actually created 2 new clients. So from an OIDC point of view, these are new clients. These are new applications, if you like. So I'm an organization, this was specifically for broader public sector organizations, but you can think of it as, you know, internal. I mean, we've all had this thing where we need to integrate a different login mechanism for our applications. So you can think that Zoran has enabled 2 new applications to be able to use the BC services card as a login mechanism. So the first one she did as just a signed JWT, so a signed return token from the authorization server. The second one she did as an encrypted authorization from the server, and which is what is now mandated, I believe, in production. So without further ado, I'm going to jump into the same project, exactly the same API that where Zoran created these, and I'm going to access those projects. So the first project was which one? March 11, March the 16th. So these are the ones today, Zoran?
Yeah. 60 and 61 as the IDs.
60 and 61. So 60 is the well, I can quickly have a look. So signed JWT, not encrypted. Okay, so I just go straight to this page, right? And the magic key and the magic secrets are here. So all that I'm going to do, I've got two applications to show you. These are very simple sample applications, so don't expect anything too flashy. There's no flashing lights or anything, but the end-to-end is quite impressive nonetheless. So I'm going to paste this client ID. So I've copied that client ID. And then in my little IDE, in my little development thing, I'm going to paste that client ID into there, Control V. I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to take my client secret. I've copied that one, and I'm going to go back to my IDE. I'm going to paste my secret into there. Okay, and if I've done everything correctly, I'm going to go save. And then I'm going to go into my little Unix window, which is just a little GitHub emulation-y thing. And I'm going to do my npm start. So this is all old hat to those who run Node all the time. But for those who don't, this is just the way that I'm starting my application up. So npm start, so it should have picked up my secret. It should have picked up my key. And should all be up and running. So let's see if we can get the little sucker to work. So this was a previous one. So what I know that I've got it enabled on port, I think it's 3000, I hope so. Okay, and I've logged into my local box port 3000. You can see some of the logging happening below there if that's of interest to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to log in. So this is an application, right? My application does a whole lot of things. Probably the smallest part of my application is to log in, but it's still a very significant part. For this demo, of course, the biggest part of the application is to log in. So let's have a look at that. So I click on login. Okay, so it's taken me and it's redirected me in the good old OIDC fashion to the service provider, to the identity provider, and I'm going to be testing a virtual card. Now, I do have a serial number here, a virtual serial number, which, if I can remember it, so SS4BPS201. So this would actually be your card serial number if you were actually logging, if you were a real person. This is just virtual stuff that they give to us for testing. And there's a specific passcode, and I can't let you know what that is, otherwise you'd be able to get in. All right, and it's telling me that I'm still part of the service provider, right? So the identity provider is telling me, hey, you realize that you're going to be providing this personal identity information to the application, which is trying to, for which you are logging in. And I say, yep, sure, I want to do that. And it's going to take me back to the application, and this is what the application looks like. I'm sorry, it's really boring, but it says that I've successfully authenticated via the BC Services card, and if I click on the profile, okay, it's hopefully going to tell me all of those details. So remember the claims that Zoran set up, the things that I was able to see? Well, I can see them here. So my given name is SS4BS Felicia. My family name is 1. My street address is 4732 Easy Street in Highlands, BC. So I have just now had my Node.js application successfully log into the BC Services card and retrieve those claims. A not insignificant feat, but not that impressive. So slightly more impressive is going to be the next demo, and it's only more impressive because it required a hell of a lot more work to get working. Mostly because there were a whole lot of shenanigans that we needed to do, because the actual item version of BC Services card encryption was in fact not completely standard. So I believe that that's been fixed though. So if I get out of this now, so I'm going to kill my Node application. I'm now going to go into my Java application. And these applications, by the way, these are in the BCGov repo, so it's open source stuff. Anyone can take these applications, they can have a look at this, and they can use the code which is here, pretty much plug it into their own application, and hey presto, you've got BC Services card integration. So I'm going to go to the Java project, CD Java dash, yep. And I'm just going to cap the README quickly because I can never remember what the command is. Read dash, okay. And I've got to do this Java jar thing. Okay, but the first thing that I need to do is, of course, I need to go back to my application and I need to get my BC services card details from the other project. So from the encrypted project, which is what Zoran said. So if I go back to my dashboard and the number 61, which is the one, let's just check. So it's the one which has got encryption. It's a secure JWT, and I can see that it's got an encryption algorithm, RSA, OAEP. So all of these things are interesting to people who know about these things, but frankly, it's gibberish to a lot of people. But what is really important is that if you have an encrypted JWT, in other words, the token that you're getting back from IDEM, from the BC services card, is actually encrypted. Nobody can even read the token. It means that you need to have this thing called a JWK server set up. A JWK server is something which does the key exchange. So it's a public key exchange kind of mechanism. It's actually way more complicated than that because there's actually a symmetric encryption and an asymmetric encryption all involved. It's not the kind of stuff that you want to be playing around with manually. Fortunately, there's some great libraries that you can just use. And if everything's standard, it works out the box and everything works beautifully. So we have a JWK service set up, which is just effectively using exactly this protocol and so on, which is why this whole thing works seamlessly. So once again, I'm going to pull in this client ID. So it's a different client ID. I've copied it into there. And now I need to get into my Java Spring Boot area, and I know that I'm going to be changing something called application.properties in the good old Spring Boot way. And I'm just going to make this a little bigger so that we can see it a bit better. Okay, and that's my client ID. So my client ID is that one. I'm going to replace my client ID with the one that we created, Control-V, and I'm going to copy my client secret. So I've copied my client secret, and I'm going to replace that client secret with the one that we just created. And I'm going to save that, and then I'm going to run my Java jar. I'm actually going to run this Java application. It's just running a local jar, but it's still it's a fully fledged Java app. And there we go. Spring Boot does its magic, pulls in all the different things from my environment file. And if we're lucky, so it's giving me a whole lot of logging messages and so on and so forth. And if we're lucky and I go to my a local host and I run it on port 8080, if we're lucky, we're going to get a fantastic page. And this page is far more impressive. It's actually got a BC logo and much prettier. And here so this is a client, this is my application that I've set up, and I'm going to click on this link, which is BC Services Card Test. I click on the link and it says ready. Yep, I do want to log in with my BC Services Card, please. It takes me back to exactly the same item screen again. Again, I'm going to do virtual card testing, and if I was smart, I would have remembered that, but I didn't, so it's SS4. I'm going to use the same login, BP S201. I'm going to go continue, and the passcode is once again a secret. Oops, I've got to get that right. Okay, I'm going to go continue, and once again it's going to say, hey, you're going to be sharing these details, get rid of that. You're going to be sharing these details with this particular application. I'm going to go continue. It then redirects back to my application. You can see a bit of logging happening in the background. And hey, presto, we've got a successful login. So my application has just successfully authenticated with the BC Services Card using my BC Services Card ID. And let's see what the attributes we got provided from them. So there's a whole bunch of stuff which is potentially quite useful to the application, but certainly things like the address 4732 Easy Street, the locality is Highlands. My given name is SS4BS Felicia, SS4BS1, so on and so forth. So all of these details are stuff which has been sent to me by BC Services card in an encrypted JWT. I've decrypted the JWT, and I'm able to use all of these details in my application.
Chris, could I just take a minute? There's a comment here about, I didn't see guest log out in the browser, so there's no cookies used here. If you could comment on that. So the screen that you were just on?
Oh, okay. I didn't see guest logout in this browser window, so no cookies used here. No, there are no cookies used at all. We don't use any cookies. So if I were to log in again, it would require me to log in again.
Just in the interest of time, we won't be able to do that now.
Yeah, probably. Well, yeah, it wouldn't actually work because the cookie wouldn't authenticate me with or would it?
Can I give I'll give you the context. Sometimes when we use not this one but other OAuth 2 apps, we find an issue with the same browser because it's single sign-on, right? So I'm glad it's not an issue here. So whatever you guys did, good job.
Yeah, I'll tell you why. No, I'll tell you why it is. It's because we're not using Keycloak or anything like that. So if you've got single sign-on, so the thing with Keycloak, right, is if you've got a bunch of applications all in the same realm, they're all going to single sign-on to each other. These are completely separate applications. They're using completely separate mechanisms. I don't think that there's any kind of cookie sharing or single sign-on capabilities between these two apps at all.
Yeah, Gary, the identity provider in this case is not maintaining single sign-on or session state for login events. So every request that's made to us is treated as a discrete login event. If you want session state, that's usually something you would use something like SiteMinder or, as Chris was saying, Keycloak in order to manage some kind of persistent session from that. So no need to log out with the services card team. We handle them discreetly.
Thank you, Zorin and Chris. I'm afraid because we are running out of time, if I can ask all the questions to be taken offline and maybe posted in the chat window. Thank you so much for the excellent demo. It was very informative, and it's a great example of a self-serve service that any team that needs to integrate with the BC Services card can take advantage of. So thank you for sharing it with the community today. I'm going to stop recording right now, and give me a couple of days to upload the video to our YouTube channel, and then I will add the link to our demo collection in DevHub. So in about two days time, head out to developer.gov.bc.ca and search for demo collection, and there should be a link to this demo on the demo collection page. Thank you.
Thanks for giving us the time.